A very good morning to everyone. There's a certain kind of courage it takes to come home, not because you have to, but because you want to build something here. When you think of Kolkata, creativity is probably the first word that comes to mind, but conviction, that's rarer. Today's guest represents both. He's someone who went from Calcutta to Leeds to London and then back to Kolkata to build one of India's fastest growing digital agencies. A man who believed that world class brands could be built from the East, and he then went on to prove it. Ankit Saraf, the founder of Meraqi Digital and DesignMySlides, leads one of the most awarded independent agencies in the country, named one of India's fastest growing agency in 2021, Agency of the Year East in 2022. His team works with some of the biggest names in the region and beyond, from RP-SG Group, Emami, Wow Momos, Senco Gold, Z5, Anmol Biscuits, Sreeleathers, Shyam Steel, MP Birla Group, Link Pens, the list goes on. But more than the campaigns or the clients, it's his story that inspires. Because this is not just about advertising, it's about ambition. It's about coming back home to build when everyone else thought you had to leave to grow. So today we talk about creativity, courage, and the digital rise of the East through the story of a man who's helping define and redefine it. Welcome to Hello Kolkata and welcome Ankit Saraf.
Hi everyone, great to be here and thank you Subid for giving me the opportunity to actually come on the show and actually share my perspective and share my journey as well.
Thank you so much, Ankit. Really a pleasure and honor to have you as our guest on Hello Kolkata. There's a lot to talk about. Your journey is extremely inspiring. For when I was reading up about you, because Kolkata Calling sort of started with this homecoming
Mm-hmm.
kind of a theme, where for decades we've seen the talent from here go out, but rarely come back home to build and grow. We'll get into that journey. But before we go there, it would be good to know a little bit about the person, a little bit about your background, a little bit about your early years. You've been to some amazing institutions. Tell us a little bit about your early years.
So to be honest, I think um, since I was born, I mean, I was not in Kolkata. Surprisingly, I was in a boarding school
Yeah.
from class 1 to 12, Welham Boys School in Dehradun, and that's where I did my schooling and pretty much spent almost 8 months of the year there and 4 months in Calcutta. But of course, when being in a boarding school, especially from the far east, and I'm right in the middle of north, there is of course a huge perspective change as well, which kind of course developed over the years. So Vellum was where essentially the creative seeding happened, and of course once we delve into it, I'll kind of go through it. But that's where overall my education happened in Vellum Boys. Then I came back to Kolkata. I was actually planning to go to Bombay, but I actually got admission into Whistling Woods, which is for an editing course in specialization in editing, so to say. But I kind of chose to stay back. I did my mass communication and videography in Xavier's, and I think that time the course was actually just starting off in just probably the first few years of the course that actually happened. Nowadays, funnily enough, I also get to interview people who have actually done mass comm and they're actually coming out for jobs as well, even to Meraki. And then that's where I did my undergrad from, which is essentially Xavier's, and it was in mass communication and videography. With then I think the course has a really inclined background towards filmmaking. So
Mhm.
that's something that they really focus on, film studies and filmmaking. So that was kind of my undergrad, and the 3 years here that was kind of like an eye opener, and from a perspective of getting to know the city better, because till that time I'd never stayed in the city for so long. When I kind of went to Dehradun to Welham in a boarding school, I was just 6 years old. I mean, literally, I was in class 1. So
Yeah.
I didn't really even know I was going to a boarding school. till I realized my parents are not there with me anymore, and I'm in
Wow.
this unknown environment.
Yeah.
So it was quite daunting, but yeah, I mean, boarding school has its own perks, and contrary to the whole idea of people send their kids to boarding school because they're naughty and they send you to discipline yourself. I don't think that's true. Boarding school, of course, gives you a very different perspective of life, and you kind of staying in the same environment, all kinds of kids in the same environment, wearing the same clothes, eating the same food. So it's
Yeah.
that kind of environment, and it gives you an all-round development.
Yeah. And obviously, boarding school, for us, we've seen in films, kids going to boarding school, life is hard, and obviously there is sometimes, they discover or rediscover something, inside themselves. Some spark happens. Very curious to know,
Hmm.
um, something that sort of clicked back there when you said the seeds of creativity or pursuing a creative field
Hmm.
came from your boarding days. uh, Share what that was like.
Okay, so it's a very interesting story. So back in school, there was this concept that was introduced. It was called Vellum News. And what used to happen is that there were hundreds of activities going on around the school. You would have debates, you would have contests, you would have sports activities, you would have inter schools, inter houses, and different kinds of activities. So what we used to do, and that was introduced by one of our school principals at that time, and it was called Vellum News, where we used to record everything happening around the campus, and have pretty huge campus with it's a boarding schools and in the middle of Dehradun. So you have a really good campus, and we used to record everything. We used to package it into a small news bulletin of 10 to 12 minutes, and then we used to kind of showcase it to the whole school. And this is the time when of course YouTube was there, but all the other mediums like Instagram and all were not so popular. So we had this small handycam, which we used to have the Sony handycams back then, and we had this handheld camera as well. And we used to record everything. We used to sit. We had a small room, which was like a very small, uh, you know, uh, probably like a 4 by 4 or an 8 by 8 room where we used to sit. We had a one side of PC, and at that point in time, we used to use Pinnacle, which is like an editing software, and we used to edit.
Mhm.
And this I'm talking about somewhere in class 7, 8 is when we started doing this. So this is quite back in the time, and it was a the kind of news bulletin that everyone really looked forward to, and it had really peppy music, and there used to be a kind of BTS kind of section at the end called sneak peek, and everyone used to really look forward, used to kind of play pranks as well. So it was all kind of started from there, and at the same time we had a school magazine, and we used to tag team with them as well, which is led by one of my really close friends, and that's how this whole thing around videos, editing, so to say, creative aspect, designing, etc., started. And that's when kind of the whole thing hit me that I want to do something in this field, but
Mm.
I really didn't know what. And that's why I by the time I came to class 12, which essentially the last year in school, I was kind of leading the team, and it was under me, and there were a lot of people, and it became really popular. So that's what we used to do, and that's where the whole thing actually started
Yeah.
from. And then of course, which is why you would understand that I kind of opted for mass communication and videography in Xavier's, because it was like a similar field. I
Yeah.
wanted to pursue editing, but of course that didn't happen. But I went on to doing mass comm, and then whilst I was in college in mass comm, I used to work with a lot of so there's this really famous choreographer in Calcutta at that point in time, Vishal Kanui. I used to work with him, on the side. That was purely to, of course, get experience and earn some money. And at the same time, we were, of course, in touch with a lot of NGOs. We were, working with this NGO at that time called Kolkata Swasthya Sankalp,
Mhm.
something that we did, like a small video we created for them. So a lot of different things, primarily around editing and graphic design and things. That's where the whole journey started from, essentially.
Yeah. And also curious to know, because by the time you reached class 12, you said you're already managing a creative team, and
Hmm.
and producing content. uh, but you also sort of founded something called Content Box while I think at the intersection of school and college. Uh,
Yeah,
what?
so it was not really in school, but it was more in college.
Yeah.
And it was primarily, it's a very funny story, but it was just something that I was doing to, it was like a business of sorts where I was trying to produce written content, so to say. And
Hmm.
this was purely from a marketing perspective. Uh, and the primary aim at that point in time, to be very honest, was just to earn money because I
Yeah.
was really against this whole fund of taking money from my parents for
Hmm.
whatever joy at that time. So I used to essentially get, I had around 10 or 15 people from college. They used to write articles and different things, primarily for SEO. So that was when I started to understand what digital marketing is.
Hmm.
And I used to sell those articles to clients abroad and in India. And of course, the payment was in dollars. So when you convert dollars to INR, there was a decent sum that I could even pay everyone and then make some money for myself. So that was something that kind of supported me throughout college, and it was something that I used to do maybe like 3 hours, 2, 3 hours a day at at night, which didn't require a lot of time. So it was something that I was doing on the side that helped me kind of fuel the money aspect, and then daytime I was more into editing, design, camera work, and things like that. So that's how Content Box was there, and I did it for quite some time. Even when I was in Leeds, I was doing it for some time before it kind of stopped completely. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's how it kind of seeded everything.
Yeah. No, that's fairly interesting to start so young to sort of manage a business of your own in a manner of speaking. Then Ankit, you went on to pursue your masters, and then you had to sort of go abroad. That's where sort of your journey across the ocean came. Uh,
Hmm.
Tell us a little bit about your experience at Leeds, and then obviously we'll get into your early professional career as well in advertising. Tell us a little bit about the master's experience at Leeds.
So I think when college was getting over, I was at a loss in terms of what am I actually going to do? Do I actually really want to work, or do I actually want to pursue higher studies?
Hmm.
Um, Considering, so I think I realized at the intersection of Content Box and what I was doing in school that I probably need to do something that is just not uh, the creative calling part of it, but I need to earn money as well, and that's how you survive. So
Hmm.
that's how the idea of kind of going into advertising came, because it helps you to mix creativity and business
Yeah.
together. And that's why I started looking for courses that kind of support this kind of an ambition. So the MA in advertising and design, or we call it MAD,
Yeah.
MAD in Leeds, was
Hmm.
essentially a course that was an intersection between the business school of Leeds and the design school of Leeds. So you had half the curriculum in design and you had half the curriculum from the business school.
Very interesting.
And that's where it got really interesting, because
Hmm.
you had really, and UK technically is one of the places that is regarded highly for advertising, especially London. The kind of
Yeah.
creative campaign and the kind of agencies based out of London is phenomenal. So that's where the whole thing came from. And although it was very daunting to apply outside, and looking at the fee, looking at everything else, going abroad, some nobody from my family had gone abroad at that point in time, and of course I'd also not, to be very honest, stepped outside India at that point. So I was like, okay. So I did apply, and I kind of did the whole process, and I got through, and I landed up in Leeds. Booked my tickets, landed up there, knowing no one. Of course, I did my basic networking before I kind of went outside. But it was really a fresh perspective when it was that time that I actually got a more professional insight into the way how the advertising world really works. Because we had professors who were really experienced from the industry, and
Hmm.
we used to have a lot of hands-on exercises, hands-on projects and stuff, and that's where the whole thing came in. And what's actually helpful is that when I was there, a lot of the things that were being taught, like editing or graphic design softwares and six, are things that the people in my curriculum, they were kind of fresh onto it, but I had that exposure from before. So I was
Mhm.
like, helping the guys and teaching, and the professors were also surprised that, how do you know all of this already?
Yeah.
So there was something that, of course, college also helped, and my school background also helped. And college was and Leeds was actually really fun. It was 1 full year of just really hands-on learning. I made really good friends. One of them I'm really in touch with as well, and we still bounce off ideas of each other. He runs an agency in Bombay currently. And between that, of course, whilst I was in Leeds, during that time also I was working part time at some property agency, helping them do some edits and shoots and things like that. And that was kind of again to fuel expenses over there, as pound to rupee ratio is not
Yeah.
cheap. So that was something that helped. And after so Leeds was like 1 full year. I was really you know hands-on and really eye-opening, and got to know a lot of things that I would have never probably known. We also had some professors visiting from agencies in London. Um, One of the things that I do remember is my friend and I, the other friend I was talking about, his name is Pratik. So during this time period, we're supposed to, of course, do our final, so to say, the thesis or the final project that we do at the end of the course, the masters. So we're supposed to, get briefs from agencies, live agencies itself. So what we did was we kind of took our individual photographs, like somebody slapping us, and we took both our images, we put it on a postcard, we put the title "Slap a Brief," and we mailed it to almost 30, 35, 40 agencies in and across UK, to all the creative directors. These are the guys who we actually try to reach out when you're trying to build a creative career. So luckily enough, two people had responded, and we got really live briefs for a brand in the UK called Ribena, which is like a juice brand, and Squash Cough, which is a cosmetic brand. So we got briefs from them, and we actually that's what we did our final project on. And yeah, that's how essentially Leeds was. And uh, then it kind of transitioned on to uh, the job, which I will
Yeah.
leave you to.
Yeah. And from that kind of an exposure to advertising, to join a firm which is obviously very famous, which is Full Six London, which I believe later got acquired by Havas.
Yeah.
Uh, you worked there for quite a number of years, if I am correct,
Hmm.
about 7 years
Hmm.
in the business side, account manager, working with some notable global accounts. Tell us a little about that journey, like from college, joining an agency like that as a fresher, sort of, and then rising up in the ranks, managing these global accounts, their campaigns. How was that journey like?
So there's this always this thing that it's of course very tough to get a job in the UK,
Hmm.
especially when you're from some other country. I mean, now
Yeah,
if you read the news, there is a lot of things going on in and around it.
sure.
But at that point in time, it had not flared up, but they were still there.
Yeah.
So what happened was, in the UK, there is this institute called Institute of Practitioners in Advertising, and it's called the IPA. And what they do is they kind of hold an ad school every year, and you can apply to it, and they give you like a 2 month internship at top agencies in and across the UK. So, but of course, it's tough to get into. So the year that I had applied, there were around 750 to 800 applicants roughly, from which they shortlist your application based on the written round, and then
Hmm.
they place you in front of 3 to 4 agencies. It's like a speed dating setup, where you kind of sit with one agency for 10 minutes, sit with one agency for 10 minutes, and sit with another
Like a
agency for 10.
speed dating.
Yeah, completely speed dating, and
Right.
whichever agency wants to get you on
Yeah.
board, they have to again pitch for you. So it's like they also have to do their own bit. So I
Yeah.
got through that, and then I interviewed with three agencies, and one of them was Full Six, and my boss at that point in time, that I had met her. That's the first time I met her, and she was the one who hired me. And I did a 2 month internship at Full Six as a as an intern. I used to work with the various accounts like Sainsbury's, Budweiser, and Ole, and all of these accounts. And after the end of 2 months, or well, at the end of 2 months, I was asked to give a presentation to the two
Mhm.
CEOs, joint CEOs, and kind of did like a small presentation in terms of what I had learned, and they'd given me a brief to solve. And after that, once I did that, they were pretty happy with the presentation, and then they made me an offer, and that's how this whole journey into Full Six happened. But what's the kicker essentially is that you require a work visa, of course.
Hmm.
That's where things get a little problematic. And what happened at that point in time was I was actually working, but my visa was not there. So the form, and everything that you fill to get your work visa and all. So I had kind of done that and submitted it to the HR, but there's some mistake that was made. Some small thing, and my application actually got stuck. And I didn't have my passport for almost a year because it was with the UK border agency, or the UK Home
Wow.
Office. And so they said that, okay, this is not going to happen. And then after 1 year, they rejected my visa. So after they rejected my visa, I was like, okay, either I will go back, or there was an option to appeal. And then I appealed to the decision, and then it kind of went into court, and it went into
Wow.
court. And then I had but the CEOs, the two CEOs, and my manager at that time, they were really supportive, and they kind of helped fight that legal case. And when I kind of went in front of the judge, funnily enough, the UK border agency was being represented by another Indian, and I was an Indian on the other side. So the judge was really helpful. She kind of pointed out that I sympathize with you, and I think it was just a clerical error, but I can't really do much. But if I were you, I would look at this. And she kind of dropped the hint over there, and we came back. We got a good lawyer on board, and then literally I had my visa in the next 1 month.
Wow.
So that's how this whole story happened. And then I had a few really good years in London. I worked with really good brands. I was really working closely with the top management. I was pitching. I was in the core pitch team. I was pitching to a lot of clients. That's where I kind of learned the skill of pitching from, and managing accounts. And I joined as an account exec. Then I moved on to becoming account manager, then a senior account manager, and I was primarily involved in new business as well. So that's where this whole journey was, and a lot of global clients. We were headquartered in France. Full Six is a Paris-based, Paris headquartered agency. So there was frequent traveling there as well, and of course, language was a problem in France, but in London there was no such problem, and had a really good time understanding the intricacies of course, account management, advertising, and worked with some really good brands like Budweiser, Ole, Bally, Total Gas. These are few Sainsbury's for quite some time. They're a big supermarket chain in the UK. So that's how this happened.
Yeah, no, and I think when you look at somebody's LinkedIn profile, you see everything flowing smoothly. One thing to another, transitions are
Not at all.
smooth. But yeah, but behind that, there's crazy stories that come up when you talk to them. Um, uh, Very curious to understand here, Ankit. Obviously, you got fantastic exposure as account executive,
Hmm.
account manager, working with these global brands, like which is sort of the pinnacle of you know working in your field. Um, what you had your background in education in India to an extent, but working with these clients, as you mentioned, the business side, the pitching aspect, winning accounts. What did you learn, or what surprised you the most about working in that environment with such famous names?
So I think because I had been in the UK for maybe a year or two, I
Hmm.
kind of started understanding the brands there. But I would not say that I completely understood. So of course, advertising or marketing, ultimately, how we look at it, it boils down to the target audience that we are talking to. And for me, that audience was completely different. British culture or the
Yeah.
English culture is completely something different. So understanding that, of course, was a challenge. But um, if but the kind of team we had and the kind of people we were working with, of course, it was a mix. Not just, I mean, I was not the only say so to say non-English person in my office. Of course, there were a lot of people from different countries in Europe, and there were some people who were not from India, but they were Indians. I mean, British Indians, so to say, and they were there as well. So that was there, but ultimately, I think marketing globally has certain the building blocks are essentially the same. So
Hmm.
if you know your basics and what you're trying to convey, or the design aesthetics, or the way design thinking works, or web works, etc., that's what is there. And when you plug that in with local knowledge, that's when things start flowing smoothly. um, Having said that, I think a lot of the projects that I worked in the UK were more technical as well.
Hmm.
So it kind of helped me develop that technical background. I had a very keen interest in tech from the very beginning, web and web languages and things like that. So working there, of course, and that point in time is when UI UX was actually kicking
Hmm.
off initially. And our agency, Full Six, used to specialize in UI UX as well. And we had done, of course, mobile was not that huge at that point, but web was really huge. And the agency that I was at, Full Six, that worked on websites like Boots, websites like Shell, the global oil company, Waitrose, which is again a major supermarket chain. So there's a lot of learnings from there. And uh, with other brands such as like Total Gas is something that I had worked on. So that was more of a grassroots brand, understanding how dealers and distributors work in
Yeah.
the UK. And then Bally, that was a luxury leather goods brand. So they were opening a flagship store in London. So it worked on the store launch for them. We held like a competition and things like that. So it's a very interesting mix of clients.
Yeah. And obviously, 7+ years. At what point of time did this idea or this itch start to come up that I want to, become a more entrepreneurial in my work? And
Hmm.
when did this? So did the entrepreneurial bug bite first, or did the homecoming, call come first? Like, how did that journey start? The transition.
So I don't think either of them happened, to be very honest.
Hmm.
But what happened actually was, I used to tell my friends, I used to tell my parents, I always wanted to come back. But
Hmm.
when you're outside, you have a good ish job, you're getting paid well, and you're in a country like UK, so things are fine, and you're in that comfort zone of not coming out.
Yeah.
So I wanted to come back at some point, but when was the big question, and how was also the big question, because at certain levels, I was here, I was trying to support my family, and I was trying to do this and that and learn as well and grow as well. But after I think maybe 6 or 7 years, and whenever I used to come back to India as well, you always have that Swades moment of Shah Rukh Khan, and
Yeah.
they sing in your head going on, and
Yeah.
always felt that we have to come back, but never really, to be honest, had the courage to take that step per
Yeah.
se. And so what happened? There's actually a fun story, not a fun story, but it's a few days back. I'm actually not really active on LinkedIn, but
Hmm.
a few days back, I had posted on LinkedIn about my journey of coming back, which essentially started with a health scare. I was diagnosed with I was actually not diagnosed with anything. I just started getting fevers every evening, probably 100, 102, 103, and so on and so forth. It just kind of used to increase through the night and then decline in the morning, and then I was fine. I was just something that was happening regularly. I got checked up there. Doctors couldn't diagnose anything. I was checked for everything, but couldn't diagnose anything. And then on my birthday, I fell really, really ill in 2016, and
Mhm.
that's when I was hospitalized over there in the UK. And then, next day, my mother kind of rang the bell that, okay, you need to come back and get yourself treated here, or get yourself this thing. So that's when I kind of went back, but I wasn't even sure I was staying because I thought I was on sick leave or something. But when I came back, then after 2 months of running around to multiple doctors, multiple hospitals, here and there, I was diagnosed with whatever I was diagnosed with, and then I was kind of put on treatment for a year. So
Wow.
that was something that was there, and that's when kind of the whole thing that, okay, now I'm staying back, and now I need to figure out what I'm going to do. And then how it's this whole saying of universe puts things into place, or God helps you in putting things into perspective, into picture. So that's where uh, it started off from. And I came back on an unfortunate note, but I realized that, okay, this is what it is. And that's where I started putting things into place. And, whilst I was partially employed in London, I was on sick leave, I was getting paid there as well. And I was working, I started putting, a website together, I started putting a credit deck together, I started reaching out to friends and family and things like that, trying to look for work here. And that's how the seeds of Meraki actually started. And I realized that, at that point in time, I could have gone to other cities as well. It's
Mhm.
not just about saying that, okay, I came back to Kolkata because, of course, I am from Kolkata, but uh, and I always wanted to do something on my own, but this was the push that probably happened.
Yeah.
And I chose Kolkata because, at that point in time, I felt that there are, of course, agencies by the plenty in other cities as well. In
Yeah.
Calcutta as well, there were agencies at that point. But I think the only difference was that I had a lot of international exposure. And how could I leverage that to offer something better than
Mm.
what other agencies are doing? So that's where Meraki actually started from. And that's where we started doing things with different clients here, and essentially it started off on an unfortunate note, but ended up
Yeah.
into something more meaningful.
Yeah, I mean, and as I was just saying in the last segment about this, that obviously life is never really a smooth
Yeah.
curve. It's got I mean, when you zoom in you can see all those bumps and gaps, but obviously from a distance it looks very smooth upward trajectory. And I think these kind of whatever setbacks, physical, mental, sometimes a pandemic for many
Hmm.
people, uh, you're, as you said, right, you're in your comfort zone, and you don't really think beyond, or making too many changes into your lifestyle. But when such a shakeup happens, then, as you said, like, perspectives change
Hmm.
uh, for an individual, and then you look at your life very differently, which happened with a lot of people I know, including myself. I think during and post COVID, the whole mindset and the priority in life sort of shifted from what it was to what it later became. Um, while while you were recovering, convalescing, and you already had started planning for the next phase,
Hmm.
um, uh, how easy or difficult was the journey to sort of start your own agency, start hiring people, getting clients, being based out of Kolkata? And we'll obviously dwell a little more into the whole Kolkata aspect of it all. As you mentioned, you
Hmm.
had something that differentiated you from other agency, founders, or the talent there. But before we go into the Meraki early days, very curious, because Meraki is a very strange name.
Hmm.
Uh, why the name? What does it, signify for you, for your clients?
So if you look at agencies worldwide, most of them have weird names.
True.
So yeah, you will have there's an agency in London called Mother. There is an agency in London called Wabala Wadab Dub. No, that's in India. Sorry. So there's an agency called Lean Mean Fighting Machine,
Hmm.
and WLED is in Bangalore. So there are a lot of agencies, of course. At that point in time, I think what was going on in my head was trying to find something that is meaningful. And
Hmm.
Meraki actually is a Greek word. It's actually Meraki, and we spelt it Q primarily because we didn't get the domain. Simple story. But Meraki essentially does have a really beautiful meaning. It means to put a creative piece or to put a piece of yourself into the creative work that you're doing.
Okay.
So I felt that it fit the bill, and
Hmm.
it kind of was there that it's something different. It has that ring to it, and I was trying to just be very quick with things. I have this. Maybe it's just me, but I have this thing about. I personally believe that everything needs to be fast,
Hmm.
and it's something that probably my team curses me. But I feel that you don't sit on something for long. I think you should need to really move fast with things. You don't need to perfect things, but you need to move fast so that things can get done. And that's where I was like, okay, let's just start. So that's where Meraki, the name came from. Um, Hiring people, getting people on board, etc. So there's another story to this is that uh, that's when I kind of met my co-founder, Snehja. Uh, she was in Leeds with me. She was doing her undergrad. I was doing my masters. She was here as well, and I started reaching out to people. And she after maybe 3 4 months, she also came on board. To understand what was happening. She also had an advertising background, and she worked with clients there, and we kind of found that common thing. And what started off, we kind of were working out from cafes and random coffee shops at that point in time. Not like there were a lot of coffee shops. Maybe that time CCD was the most popular, or so you had some in Park Street. So we used to work from there, and then after a point we decided, okay, let's just get a small space. So we started looking for spaces, and through a friend's friend, we kind of sublet a small room inside one office, where there's literally one desk, and Sneha used to sit on the other side, I used to sit on one side, and we used to start reaching out to clients. And we hired an intern at that point. We're not even an agency, but yes, we hired an intern. And that this girl who we hired, and she used to work on a beanbag. So we put a beanbag in the office, and we used to work from there. And that's how the team started. And in that office space itself, then there was like 4 desks outside. We took those desks. Then there's 6 desks outside. We took those desks, and then we there was another space inside room. So it was like a flat which was being used as an office in Minto Park. And gradually we kind of had a team of maybe uh, 10 to 12 people, which kind of happened throughout, just organically growing, and we were hiring people. We didn't know what we were doing, to be very honest. We were trying to figure things out as and when we were going along. We knew kind of the kind of work we wanted to do, or the kind of work we wanted to produce, or the kind of clients we wanted to work with. And I think once you start, Sneha and I both believe, and big believers of, if you do good work, then things will follow.
Hmm.
So that's the principle we've followed so far. And trying to produce work that is good enough for people to sit up and take notice. I would not say that we are the best agency in India or best agency in the East. There are other agencies who are
But you
doing
have awards to prove that.
we do. That's something that we question ourselves as well. What are we doing? That's
Hmm.
something that I would like to talk about later in terms of heard from various people that people want to work at Meraki. I really want to understand from them why. Trying to get to know better in terms of why people feel so. And I think that answer partially came from the culture that I came from in the UK, where
Hmm.
agencies have this kind of environment, which I kind of try to replicate here, and that's probably one of the reasons why people want to work here. So that's something that I've kind of understood over time.
Yeah. And while obviously, bringing people on board, is obviously tough. Building the core team when you start off a venture is very critical. The core team, makes or breaks a venture essentially. But also very curious to understand, Ankit, uh, how was it like winning those first major accounts? Because obviously you are, two, three, four people working out of a small office, trying to get your foothold in the industry where there are established players, larger, more resources. Uh, Tell us a little bit about those early wins that sort of, gave that impetus to start growing the team as well. And obviously, referrals, word of mouth, those kind of things started happening.
So I have two very interesting stories of our first two major clients that kind of gave us the fuel to move forward.
Hmm.
One of them is still a client. Actually, both of them are still a client. We still work with them. So one of them is of course Srijan. They're a big real estate developer in Calcutta. So we had actually gone for a meeting through a common connection. We had gone to pitch for a small mall in Asansol, helping them do the social media for that. So Sneja and I sat at chai break, where a lot of people meet and discuss and do startup discussions and chill with friends. So Sneja and I sat there. We kind of prepped our deck, and we literally just went for the meeting. We presented, and everything went smooth. And uh, so one of the directors there at that point in time, he he kind of mentioned that we have this new project. It's a big development coming up. We don't have an agency on board, and would you be interested to pitch for it? So we were like, sure. I mean, we didn't know what we were doing, but we said, sure, we'll definitely want to pitch for it. And so so he was like, okay, you can take the brief and you can come back to us by tomorrow morning. And that was like, okay, tomorrow morning, for what something that we haven't even seen. And this was at around 7 or 8 in the evening.
Hmm.
And so we were like, okay, fine. So we got the brief. We worked on it. We worked through the night,
Yeah.
by till 6 a.m. or something. And by that time, Sneja was on call. I was there, and both of us were working. And I think uh, then we worked on it. Either of us, I think, fell asleep, and then we sent the deck. And when I woke up, kind of had a missed call from the team, and they're like, "You guys are onboarded." I was like,
Wow.
I was like, "Have you seen the deck? Is there any feedback?" Because to be very honest, by the time it was 6 a.m., we didn't really know what we knew what we'd put in the deck, but whether we were confident about it, because the kind of work
Yeah.
they were asking to do, we had done it, but in the Calcutta context, like I said, we know advertising, marketing, but in the Calcutta context and understanding real estate, of course, real
Hmm.
estate is a very local
Yeah.
market nuance. So we essentially were told, so the Srijan team essentially told us that we just wanted to see if we can turn it around in this point of time, this short span of
Hmm.
time.
Yeah.
So like, great. So then that's how we got them on board, and we've been working with Srijan for almost since the inception of 7-8 years.
Wow.
Srijan at that point in time also did not have a digital marketing setup or team. We've kind of also helped them set up the team, and we've been working with them across the years. Now we pretty much worked with them on almost all their digital projects throughout till date. We still work with them. A lot of their branding and stuff, collateral, we still do. And the people we met at Season at that time, we are still in the team members at Season. Some of them are still there. We're still working with them. So that was one of the stories. Um, the other story is about, of course, Grid in Kolkata. Uh, Through a connection, I had met Mr. Gaurav Karani, Gaurav, yeah, as we call him, and gone and met him for some app that he wanted to create at that point. But you know, the app didn't work out.
Mm-hmm.
But at that point, this was probably in 2018 or 2019. I had opened a franchise of Belgian waffle in Salt Lake. Uh, and Salt Lake, in swimming pool Salt Lake, essentially. Um, and Gaurav had come there just to, with his family to have waffles and stuff. So he recognized me and I recognized him, and we were having a chat. Then he kind of told me, why don't you come to office? We have something to work on, and you can help with that. So that's how we onboarded Grid as a client. And these were two clients that helped us, fuel things. And of course, Grid was a very well-known microbrewery at that point in time. It still is.
Yeah.
And with the backing of, or with the kind of work we're doing for Grid, a lot of other F&B clients came on board. Srijan, we were in an exclusive agreement with Srijan for doing the real estate for X amount of years. So we were doing that. And that's how the whole thing started. We gradually started getting more people on board. And then when we onboarded Grid, actually, we also shifted our office to the same building as Grid. You know,
Mm-hmm.
we, we went on to a much larger office with and at that point in time, the office we had, people were really happy about the office space we had built, and something that we punched. I think we punched way above our weight and got that office and built it,
Mm-hmm.
keeping the whole international, so to say, work culture there, because there was like a mezzanine floor, and we used to sit on the mezzanine floor, and the whole bottom of the ground floor was just a meeting room. There was just sofas and bean bags and things like that for people to just chill.
Yeah. No, I mean both. Serendipitous stories, and obviously the grit and perseverance to turn things around. Where you mentioned sort of speed of execution is something that you always look to strive for. Uh, just curious here, just going a little bit off track here.
Mhm.
Creativity is something that sort of people say that you can't force it, it comes to you sort of
Mhm.
but obviously when you're working in an environment where you have projects, deadlines,
Mhm.
client status updates coming up, either as an individual or somebody who's managing a team of professionals in this field, how do you balance that, like the creative side of things as well as the operational deadlines, briefs, documentation? How do you balance that?
So this is something that actually Meraki is known for, which I found out
Mm-hmm.
later.
Mm-hmm.
Um, since the beginning, because I was an account manager, um, but I didn't directly work in the creative department, but I knew about, or I knew very well how the creative department functions, because of my design background, of my editing background, and things like that. And account management came from my experience in London. So I was quite finicky about tools, templates, processes, and things like that since the very beginning.
Mm-hmm.
I still am, and that's what we've kind of done at Meraki. Is for everything there is a template. We've kind of created things custom in house, that this is what, so that even when someone new joins the team,
Mm-hmm.
they know that, okay, this is how this place functions, whether it's SOPs, manuals, and things like that. But like you said, I think what happens is that some of these things could potentially hinder creativity, or things like that. So uh, what we've of course realized is, uh, over time, Indian clients are way different than clients abroad.
Sure.
They're quite nitpicky, and they're quite, you know, a lot of them are very hands-on with what they want. Sometimes they are not aware of what they want, and they want it to be shown to them. So it's about finding the middle ground between what the client wants, what we can provide as an agency to them, as you're using our expertise, what can we provide to them. um, but what we try to follow essentially is that if we are internally not happy with anything, or if it's something that we would not engage with, then let's not even send it to the client, because
Mm-hmm.
it will not float. So that's what we try and follow. But I would say that we are not, something that, it's not something that we've been always able to do, because like you said, deadline does hinder creativity. It's always been there, because if everyone was really well planned, then that would never happen. I don't think that anybody is so well planned that the
Yep.
last minute leaves always come up. And we try and circumvent that. We always ask for more time, but sometimes it's not possible. But a lot of times, the difference is there in the output. You are easily able to see something that has taken more time and is something that is more creative, or there's more finesse to it.
Hmm.
But otherwise, something that has been done quite quickly is like more shoddy. It's like a shoddy job that has been done. So it happens. Um, but I think over time, the way the teams are, especially the team we have now, it's like a team that we have tried to retain, or we have tried to keep that attrition level low within Meraki itself, that they know the kind of pressure that is going to come. So just to
Hmm.
put things into perspective, we just crossed Puja, right? So Puja, Durga Puja, we just crossed, and pre-Puja, of course, there was a lot of madness. And
Yeah.
funnily enough, we onboarded a really big client just 2.5 weeks before Puja, and we literally hit the ground, probably racing for them, and we tried to deliver a lot of things for them in that span of 1.5 week, that too with our existing clients. So that was something that's there, and ultimately it boils down to the team. I don't think that Ankit Saraf or anyone else or anyone running the agency can do a lot without having a team, and that's what we are. So it's about finding that middle ground between what the client wants, what is creative, and what will give us that output with the target audience that we're trying to engage with.
Yeah. Um, so, Ankit, obviously, Meraki is pretty well known, and it doesn't need an introduction. But if you had to sort of sum up, like, what Meraki is and does in terms of its
Hmm.
offerings for its clients and what
Hmm.
differentiates it, what would your that elevator pitch be?
So I still struggle with elevator pitches for Meraki, but
Uh-huh.
for clients we can do it. But I think if I have to put it in a nutshell, if you're looking for one place with everything, and not go to multiple agencies or not rack your head with, and if you're looking for a place strong with strategy, strong with data, strong with creative aspects, then Meraki is the place. I would not say that we are the best in a lot of things, but we are probably one step lesser than the best. But we kind of get stuff done, and we don't let people hang. So what happens is that this is something that we have learned over time. There are a lot of agencies, but uh, we've understood that work culture or work ethic wise, a lot of them are not great. A lot of them are
Mhm.
brilliant, they're even better than us, but a lot of them struggle to deliver or struggle to maintain deadlines. And it's not that we are also very good, we are good with it, but it's not like we also hit 100% of our deadlines, because a lot of things are not in our control. But that's something that we are kind of focusing on a lot. We when you meet clients, we when we onboard clients and we meet clients, we often ask them, what is your reason for shifting to say another agency or hiring another agency? What went wrong with the first one, so that we are not making those same mistakes with you again, at least.
Mhm.
So that's like one of the bonus questions in our onboarding questionnaire, that what went wrong with the previous agency. So a lot of clients choose to answer it, a lot of clients don't, but it gives you that fresh perspective into what actually went wrong with the previous agency, and how can we improve that. Like I said, because of my account management background, the processes and tools,
Yeah.
it is something that has helped us stand out. And a lot of times what happens is, even new team members who join, in the recent past, we've almost hired 5 to 6 new people in the last 2 3 months. Everyone new who comes in on board, of course, initially struggles a lot with the way it's organized.
Mhm.
Like, if you ask me, I still feel we are very less organized, but apparently we are organized. There are people who
Mhm.
have gone from our agency to agencies in Bombay, and they tell us stories about them not having ABC things which are quite basic, and you would think that such a big agency would have it. So, but having said that, I don't think that Meraki is perfect. We are still growing, we are still learning. And anyone who joins the team, my first thing to them is that you've come from a place, you probably have a lot of pros and cons which you have learned from that place. So anything the good that you see that you've learned from your previous agency that is not here, we are more than happy to adapt and take that and adapt it into our workflows. So that's something that we've been doing. I think one more other thing that has helped us in the very recent past is we have been at least we feel that we have been one of the early adopters of AI and things around it.
Yeah.
A few days back, I was interviewing somebody else from another agency, and they're like, we don't get tools, paid tools, or we don't get access and things like that. And one of my team leads was in the interview itself, and I told him that you see, there's a huge difference because we are like one of the first agencies to adapt new tools, whether it's paid subscriptions, unpaid subscriptions, free. We try and push our teams to actually adapt to new things in the market. So whether
Yeah.
it's any new tool, Sora or anything, we've kind of started experimenting with it already.
Yeah, and I was probably going to come to this, Ankit, later, but since you brought this up,
Hmm.
very, curious to sort of understand from you, creativity and AI
Hmm.
coming into that is something that, there's a lot of, I would say, mixed opinions about, right?
Hmm.
There's a school of thought that, says that, let AI do automation, all the boring, laborious tasks, but let
Hmm.
creativity stay human. But obviously, once the genie is out of the bottle, you can't
Hmm.
really put it back in, because now every other day a new product, a new startup is just mushrooming with some new service that they have created using AI, or a new product they've created using AI, whether it's building slides, whether it's creating videos. Everything has an AI layer.
Good.
uh,
Yeah.
uh, Being in your field, which has been traditionally so human creativity driven,
Hmm.
and you said obviously you're taking a more progressive, futuristic kind of an approach,
Hmm.
but how does that sort of fit into the existing setup of the creativity coming from human minds versus something that is generated more synthetically? And obviously we can talk about the pros and cons of those two approaches, but from your lens, how are you viewing this shift?
So, of course, I think the first introduction to AI for everyone was ChatGPT. I
Yeah.
mean, that's the very. I mean, even before that, of course, there was things around AI, but it hit mainstream when, of course, ChatGPT came into the picture. And
Yeah.
uh, till ChatGPT was there, or till image generation came in, or video generation came in, things were like, okay, you can use ChatGPT or any sort of AI tool to streamline your work or make. So what it is doing currently for us is, I don't think that there is this whole conversation around will AI replace jobs and things like that. But in the creative field, probably not. At least that's what our thinking is, because ultimately clients are looking for people who can understand what they want, use
Hmm.
whatever tools, templates, AI tools, or not even AI, not just AI tools, but other tools in the market, and offer them whatever best is there that can be done within their brief, within their budget, within their timeline. And client teams internally are not set up to do this kind of thing,
Hmm.
which is why if you're a larger client and you can afford to set up that team in house, great. But you would still need external help, because agencies who work with multiple niches, multiple industries, they have a very different perspective and they have a very different skill set. In one agency you have designers, developers, strategists, copywriters, and things like that, which any client hiring all of them in house becomes a challenge. So which is where agencies come in. A lot of times we also have certain clients, without naming them, they have people in house, but for a lot of things they would still come to us,
Hmm.
because they cannot service that in house. And what is happening is that yeah, definitely 200% has made our lives easier. It helps us
Mm.
probably do things at much faster rates, at much faster scale than what we were doing previously manually. Whether it's data crunching, whether it's writing, whether it's image generation and things like that. But ultimately, you need someone to put it all together. And when
Mm.
that putting all together and putting it from a target audience perspective, brand perspective comes in, you still need people to do it. And those kind of people are in the agencies because we are constantly experimenting with that kind of stuff, which client teams, unfortunately, at this point in time, are not able to. Having said that, I don't think that at any given point, even the majority of the tools that have come out, uh, pretty much most of it is being used by freelancers or agencies. It's not
Mhm.
like a lot of client teams have gone and they started using it and started producing something. It still falls back on agencies and they are still helping
Yeah.
clients generate that visual. In fact, we have also done a video completely generated via AI for one of our clients, purely using prompts and image generation and everything like that. And we've created like a small 30-second product video which is purely AI generated.
Yeah. Uh, Ankit, I mean, I know I asked you for 1 hour and we are almost at the hour
No, no,
mark,
that's
but
fine. That's completely fine.
I want to get into sort of, a little bit about this whole conversation that, we started when you made this transition. Obviously, uh, building an agency, starting up, is obviously going to be tough, but this whole perception of being
Hmm.
based Calcutta, Kolkata, because
Hmm.
whenever you think of agencies, advertising, you think Mumbai.
I think
Uh,
Bombay, yeah.
yeah. So from that point, to choose to be based here, to
Hmm.
continue to be based here, and
Hmm.
winning clients, growing your accounts. Um, what has been the challenge, and what has been, let's say, a blessing for a company like Meraki to be based out of Kolkata?
So you've rightly pointed out, and funnily enough, I recall this a very interesting story, and this is to do with your channel itself. Is that when we were in the beginning hiring people, we used to put out posts on LinkedIn and get things. We used to use your hashtag Kolkata calling, because
Okay.
we thought that and so there are two parts to this. So one is of course the clients, and one is of course the talent. With regards to the clients rather, there is always been this constant struggle of bigger brands, known brands going to Bombay, or other cities to get quality work done. And this whole quality funda is quite debatable now, because what happens is, if you even look at a lot of agencies in Bombay, a lot of talent, even talent from Kolkata is in Bombay
Yeah.
agencies.
Yeah.
Um, they have gone and settled there. And what has happened over time is that, of course, regional clients, local clients, they prefer to work with agencies here. A lot of national clients, because of regionalization or regional content or regional focus, at least have started shifting their regional requirements back to Calcutta or back to their different zones, whether it's an agency based in Delhi or in Bangalore or in
Mhm.
Hyderabad and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Uh, but there is a huge difference in terms of the costs and everything, because something that would say a film production here would cost 1x, that same production would probably cost 2x in Bombay or 2.5x in Bombay. But we also sometimes meet clients and tell them that अगर हम भी अपने नाम में बॉम्बे लगा देते मेराकी बॉम्बे we have a branch in Bombay, we have a branch in Delhi, then you would probably give us our dues. But because we are in Calcutta, that's not happening. uh,
Mm.
but the quality of work is the same. I was talking to another agency owner. They were also saying the same thing, that some people from Bombay saw their work and they were actually surprised to see that an agency from Calcutta is producing this kind of work. So that's of course been a constant challenge throughout, that clients from here prefer to go there, because a lot of times, as an example, ITC is based in headquartered technically here, but their marketing team sits elsewhere,
Yeah.
and their agencies are scattered. But gradually that shift is happening. It still is a challenge, but it's not to say that quality work is not being done out of Kolkata. It is definitely being done, and a lot of production houses, agencies are
Yeah.
doing phenomenal work from Kolkata itself. With regards to the talent, it's a really interesting story that most of the young talent here, uh, they work here for some time. Then, of course, because you're young and you want to experience life in another city, and I think people who have been born and brought up in Calcutta, they of course want to step out for some time and
Yeah.
experience other cities or maybe even go abroad, or they do that. But in a lot of cases, we've seen a lot of reverse brain drain happening, where people are coming back, whether it's because of family reasons, whether it's personal reasons, or whether it's just career and being with your family. Because this whole bubble of I can go outside and earn more, but then you go there and realize I'm spending that much too. So
Yeah.
we've had people who have been with us. They've gone outside, worked for 1 or 2 years outside, and they come back to Meraqi itself. And we've also been in touch with people who are in other cities, and they always ask us about, are you going to open an office in Bangalore or in
Yeah.
Delhi or in Bombay, and we really like to work with you again. So that's also something that we encounter on a regular basis.
Yeah. No, and that's heartening to hear. I think, and what you sort of hinted at when you're talking about Meraki was that there is this, I would say, professionalism, not just about punctuality, but process, templates, standardization that you've
Hmm,
managed
hmm,
to inculcate in your organization, which is often found lacking in a lot of local agencies.
hmm, hmm,
And that's just my top of the mind thought, that people think that professional work in this field happens in Bombay because they've been doing it for so long.
hmm,
But Meraki, in my mind, stands out because even though it's a young
hmm.
agency, it's based in Kolkata, but it still has that same level of professionalism, standardization, process,
Yeah.
rigor that's built into it.
So, and I think on top of it all stands accountability.
Yeah.
We as an agency, a lot of times are completely accountable, and I think there is this perspective of advertising that it's all the good content that you see and all the polished content that you see, but there is a whole lot of thing that goes on in the background. Whether it's technical service like performance marketing, SEO,
Yeah.
WhatsApp marketing, CRM, and things like that. And a lot of agencies that are showing up, they're pretty much social media specific. They pretty much do social media only. But we as an agency offer social media as one of the things that we do. But all of these other things that a lot of agencies don't even have that exposure, we are kind of offering that also. So that whole process bit, templatization tools and things kind of comes into that remit.
Yeah. uh, Ankit, what's next for Meraki? Like, where do you see Meraki going in the next few years?
I often get asked that question by even friends of mine or family. I think the honest answer is that till date Meraki has been more organic, and Sneja and I have been very involved in the day to day of running things. But of course, as you're running a place, you realize that you cannot clone yourself and you cannot work 24 hours or 48 hours of the day, and
Yeah.
you have to start delegating, start understanding, and start trusting people with stuff. So I personally have had a tough time doing it, and now I tell my team also that you always have this thing of, अरे ये तो इसको
Hmm.
लगेगा 1 घंटा करने में, मैं 10 मिनट में करके निकल जाऊंगा. So I've had that tough time of letting go of things and training people to do it. And even though I can do it, I still ask them to do it, and then I probably touch it more towards the end and see कि चलो ये हो गया, इसमें से कुछ ठीक ठीक कर लेते हैं, and then we're done. So
Yeah.
Meraki, I think what has happened now is that after maybe 7 to 10, we've completed 9 years actually. After 9 years of being there in the market, uh, I think now we have started getting bigger clients
Hmm.
as compared to smaller clients. And we've also made the conscious decision of, because we are an old setup now and the kind of people we have on board, we've also decided that we'll be onboarding a certain set of clients that can help us keep the machinery running and do good work. So the idea is to actually grow organically and do work and advance ourselves in certain things that we had never thought we would.
Yeah.
At the same time, we have plans of opening in Bangalore, so we are working on that currently. My partner is shifting to Bangalore, so she's going to be there, and we're going to probably onboard clients from there. Bombay, I think, is a very, so to say, saturated
Yeah.
market with a lot of agencies. So, having said that, I think again, being in Calcutta gives you that advantage of, which is, I think, a big advantage for us, is that having a back office here or having the core team here gives you that space to pick up clients from outside but deliver from here. It's a city that inherently has creativity in its own DNA. So
Hmm.
you can easily leverage that from here. People here are just on creative to another level, which of course is there in other cities, but Calcutta is something that nobody can beat in terms of the people or the workforce that is here.
Yeah. No, that's really very heartening and music to our ears. Ankit, we'll go into our last segment,
Mm-hmm.
which is part of a little rapid fire we have started doing.
Hmm.
So, very briefly, quick answers.
Hmm.
Um, One failure in your life, professional, personal, that you learned the most from.
Uh, Not listening to people, and I think after I kind of, it's not just about listening. Very simply put, I think and we kind of accepted that, is that at certain point in time you start thinking my way or the highway, and
Hmm.
reeling back from there and understanding other people's perspective and compartmentalizing things in your head helps a lot. And
Hmm.
that's something that I was not very open to in the very beginning, but I've
Hmm.
learned that, and that's something that's really taught me valuable things.
Interesting. Um, a campaign that you are most proud of across your career.
That would be, it was one of the big campaigns, which was Budweiser Rises one. That was in London, though. It was for the FIFA World Cup back in in London days. And then, of course, in Kolkata, we've done this recent film for Anmol Industries for Holi this year, which was which was very close to us. It was a cause-based film on vitiligo, which is a small thing where a disease where people get white patches on the skin. So it was close to me, and because somebody in my family, in fact, my father has it in my family. So something that we worked with, and the film did really, really well. It really touched hearts, and it got organically picked up by a lot of media campaign India, and I was featured with Surf Excel and all these other brands.
Yeah. Uh, a book or movie that you would say defines or most closely aligns with your creative thinking, your creative philosophy.
Uh, More than creative philosophy, I think it is creative philosophy, but I think the business angle also at levels comes into it.
Sure.
And it's Loan Shots by Safi Bakol, and it has a lot of small learnings about nurturing radical breakthroughs and how can you transition organization structure, balancing old and new ideas, a lot of lessons about team dynamics in it, and how outsider thinking, the thing I was saying, that when you get someone from outside with to the agency, they start thinking differently. So creating
Yeah.
a culture that welcomes them. And a movie, probably, so there are a lot of movies, more than books. I'll watch a lot of movies because probably of my education as well. But I think one movie that really stuck into my head whilst I was, I think, in college or something, uh, was Social Network. But that's not
Hmm.
because it was about Facebook. It was just about the whole relentless pursuit that he had, and it captures the whole energy of creation, the pursuit of the idea that he has, and the whole tension between the vision and the validation, and the beauty of something building that didn't even exist before. So
Hmm.
creativity is a lot like that. It's not neat, it's not always planned. What happens is, clients come to you with a vision, and you are supposed to form that vision, whether it's visual, whether it's words, whether it's anything. So that's what social network did. It's not just about Facebook, but it's about the conviction of bringing that vision to life, essentially.
Yeah. Uh, you sort of headquartered in Kolkata. One thing about Kolkata that you would never trade for anything else. Like, what's one aspect of Kolkata that you just can't or won't do without?
The city's rhythm. I think the city's rhythm is something that you will not find anywhere else. It just moves at its own pace. It's
Sure.
slower than Bombay, but
Yeah.
it's richer in reflection. There is room to think. You don't have that constant thing, or as to you have to achieve the whole world today. I mean, you can have conversations, and you can still. If I think, if I was in Bombay, probably I would have pulled out my hair already, thinking, "Mera agency chal kyun nahi raha hai?" Rather than, today I'm in Calcutta, I have taken things slow. There are agencies which are probably 3-4 years old and have grown much bigger than us. But I think what we realize and what we've been doing is that we've been existent for 9 to 10 years. We have grown profitably, and we've grown profitably and organically, and we've built a space that people want to come and actually work at. We've not always been chasing कि मेरे को आज ये बड़ा ऑफिस लेना है, मेरे को आज इतने टीम मेंबर्स चाहिए, and I want to have this
Mm.
big set of clientele. I think that's what there, and the other thing is the human warmth
Yeah.
that Calcutta offers. It kind of shapes what we are. 2 days back only, our team had put up a reel on Instagram where we were not in office. Neja and I were not in office. We had gone for some meetings, and then the team was this somebody singing in the background, and the team was jamming over and just singing, and it was something that the team just put on Instagram 2-3 days back. So that's what Kolkata is and Kolkata does.
Yeah. Last one, Ankit. Uh, for any young creative person in the city or listening to this from anywhere, if you had to give him or her one message for their life, their career, from your own experience, what would that be?
Um, it's something that I have learned from experience, and I would say that nobody or anybody who's trying to build something should wait for anyone's permission. Um, you will always hear that Kolkata doesn't have the ecosystem, or clients here don't value creativity, and this and that, or this, which is what we were discussing. So I think
Mhm.
everyone kind of needs to ignore that noise, because the ecosystem builds itself when people who decide to build come into that ecosystem and start building. If we had not started maybe 9-10 years back, then a lot of people who want to start agencies like ours will not would not have found that feat. And there are people who look at Meraki and say, "I want to build an agency like Meraki maybe today."
Mhm.
But that's because we felt that we can, and we also experimented. We failed in a lot of things, and everyone will start small. You should stay curious and be consistent. The city might move slow, but if you keep showing up, it will notice you. That's there for sure. So
Yeah.
don't wait for permission, and just keep on showing up, and things will start taking place.
Wonderful. Ankit, it's been a real pleasure listening to your journey. Very candidly sharing all that you have achieved and gone through over these many years, and many congratulations for Meraki's success, and wish you and the team all the best for the future. Before we close our podcast today, any final words for the listeners and viewers of Kolkata Calling?
So, finally, of course, I'd really like to thank you for getting me on this podcast and sharing my perspective on things. And I think Kolkata Crawling is a great platform overall, just for people to express opinions, express their views. And I think the guest list that you have had so far, there are people in Kolkata from probably, who have not probably built a lot of bigger things, but smaller things, and they're doing things in their own way. So it's lovely to, of course, be here. And like I said, lovely to see Kolkata growing as an ecosystem and gradually coming up back to its feet again. And that's something that, of course, all of us want. And I feel that as long as each of us contributes to it, we will gradually get there. And it's very easy to pull people down and say that yahan pe mat karo and do this and do that, but it's ultimately people who have been or belong to the city who will build it. So yeah.
Beautiful. That is our episode of Hello Kolkata, and that was Ankit Saraf. A wonderful story of homecoming and the digital rise of the East. He's shown how belief, creativity, professionalism, obviously, and the conviction that can help put even Kolkata on India's digital map. Ankit, thank you so much for joining us on Hello Kolkata. With that, we'll close our podcast today.
Thank you so much.